G'day guys, welcome to Lawn Care Skull Sessions. I've got BJ here with me. BJ, what's happening?
Not much, man. How are you?
I'm good.
I'm really excited. We had some awesome feedback from you guys out there. Really appreciate it. It was just overwhelming with how many messages we got.
It was great to see everyone getting amongst it, everyone supporting it. We had some good comments on YouTube.
It's huge.
As you can see, we got some new stuff in the background.
Yeah, thank you to all the suppliers who've hooked us up.
Thank you for supporting us as well and leaving us without otherwise we just would have a white wall.
Exactly.
So,
it's pretty bright.
There's a few other brands that have got to step up. So
yeah, plenty. I've got some care packages coming, so yeah, I'm pretty excited to see what's in the box.
Yeah, I don't see much of a Skag presence. Hey, we got one hat.
Coolers. I got some models down there, hat up there, but there's...
I thought Rob Shearer was our friend,
mate. He's got some pretty weird ways of showing me how friendly he is.
Yeah, I don't have my shirt yet either.
I think I'll sort that out.
So I'll just jump inside. I'll jump inside.
Yeah,
that one.
You can jump in mine.
All right, so guys, one thing that we forgot about last week. So Stuart Dodds brought this up. He commented in on the YouTube and he's like, "Hey guys, I've got a huge con that you guys forgot," and we legit forgot it.
Yeah, 100%.
Now, so thank you, Stuart. So what Stuart was saying was that the small tyres on the smaller footprint stand-ons, so mostly 32s and 36s, those skinny tyres do tend to get some grass tearage and, the little rips.
Yeah.
And, it probably doesn't happen in every state, but it does happen, especially in residential properties, right?
Yeah. There's a few ways you can eliminate it by dropping the pressures right down and, doing your Y turns. And
not mowing when it's wet.
Not mowing when it's wet.
3-point turns are your friend, by the way.
100%.
So forget this zero turn stuff.
But, yeah. I mean, up here in Queensland, I personally don't have a lot of trouble with it, so...
Yeah, it's something.
It is one of those things.
It's a con. It's not. There's no pro about it. So
you got to deal with
all
it.
right. So for today's episode, guys, what are we talking about, Beach?
We are talking about starting a lawn care business. Basically, what we want to do is sort of give you some of the failures that we've had, some of the positive, cool things that we've done to, jump into this business. Benny's got a lot more experience than me. But yeah, hopefully I can help someone out.
Well, the thing is though, even though I've been doing it longer, if you go back and have a look at our stories, I've failed 3 times before I really was able to say that I was on my feet and being able to support myself and support a family.
Yeah.
So when you started, I was already on my feet and you were immediately able to learn from a lot of the mistakes that I did.
It was so beneficial. I did. I basically got 99% of my information about how the business actually should be set up from your experience. So,
and I got I eventually, I had to learn the hard way. But there's a few guys out there, Tyson Wilson, Shorey from Shorey's Outdoors. Those guys helped me.
Yep.
So it was good to have a mentor, at least someone that you looked up to.
And that's probably where one of the points that we'll bring up later is networking is a massive part of this business. And if you want to be successful, networking is key. Same within a lot of businesses.
Absolutely, yeah. So, all right, well, how about we imagine we're about to start a brand new business right now.
Yep.
What's one of the first things that we're going to be looking at? Start from the very start.
It's either got to be your ABN and insurances or your name and your logo. I'd probably prefer to start with name and logo because let's run
with name and logo. So all the insurance and all that other shit, obviously you need to have that, right?
Yeah.
But because they're sort of like a given, let's talk first about the names and logos.
Yeah.
So what do you think? So obviously you're the Bearded Lawnsman.
Yeah, that's where I started as the Bearded Lawnsman. As my business grew, and I started doing more commercial work and things like that. I love my branding. I love my Bearded Lawnsman logo, and I've registered it as another business, so I can't lose it. But I wanted to have something a little bit more professional, a little bit more poppy for the commercial side, and that's where TBL Property Maintenance came from, and that's what's on my invoices and my email headers and all that sort of stuff.
So you ditched the name, but you kept the beard.
Yeah, TBL, the Bearded Lawnsman.
I get it. Man.
Yeah.
Okay, so tips for guys out there that are either looking to start or maybe they're even looking to go into a different direction. Now, keep in mind, everyone, that this discussion that we're having is not necessarily the exact right thing to do.
Yeah.
These are just points to consider, right? So, as an example, my very first business was called Mr. V's Garden Care. Now, we're going way back to when my old man started it with me. And our last name is Van de Giesen, and lots of kids in the neighbourhood always called my parents Mr. and Mrs. V. So when we wanted to start up our little lawn mowing business, we went with Mr. V's Garden Care. But as the business evolved and you wanted to, get into some strata work, possibly some commercial work, the names really just kept evolving. So we went to Bayside Yard Maintenance because we felt that adding the name Bayside really kept us, it was marketing towards a whole, suburb and surrounds, And then eventually we went to, what was my other business name? We had Bayside Garden and Lawn Maintenance. It just went from Bayside Yard Maintenance to Bayside Garden and Lawn Maintenance. And we felt at the time when we made that transition, we felt that took you out of people's yards and it got you into, potentially the higher end gardens, and eventually evolved into Greenscape Solutions, which we thought was more of a broader name to be able to, get you into, we wanted to move out of the residential market.
Yeah.
And into some of that commercial stuff. And it also puts you on what we felt was the same level as Green Options, Landscape Solutions, right.
Yeah.
So choosing a business name is really important.
Yeah.
Although you can change it whenever you want, you really don't want to change it.
In business, how long did it take you to come up with Catch Pro?
Catch Pro,
you would have had to put a bit of work into that as well.
Catch Pro was horrible. It took me a long time. Rusty, had all of these names written down. My mum and dad were thinking of names. Josh probably had some names.
I've sent you a few, yeah.
And we had the funniest. For Catch Pro, for example, right? And this is not a Catch Pro show, but we'll just quickly hit on it. I wanted the name to be tough, strong, all of those things, right? Yeah. And, Rusty had names like Grass Hut and Benny Hoover, and which Benny Hoover came back to life as a gimmick thing later on. But some of the names were absolutely hilarious.
You should dig up. I know you've got a piece of paper with all the names.
I've got the piece. It hangs up in my office.
Yeah, you should definitely take a photo, bring that in one day.
Yeah.
Because there's some bad names on there.
Yeah, but some of the names are hilarious. Like, I can't think of the other ones off the top of my head, but I know, Grass Hut, and I think another one was Clippings Retreat. So, all right, cool. So then you got to, after you look at the business name, what's next?
Well, you've got your logo to think about after that.
So colours and branding.
Yeah, mine was really easy. I used a marketing team, not a marketing team, but it's a place called Logo to Go. You throw them all your ideas, and they'll, like most people, they'll just throw you a bunch of little edits, and you pick one, and that was how it happened. I just asked for a few little bits and pieces to be changed, and it was a pretty easy process. It took maybe 3 or 4 days. But I just went with the black and green and white. I just thought and the round. I thought it looked good on a shirt, looked good on a trailer.
Yeah, it kind of looks like a badge.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Like,
What do we got? Where are the
There you
cameras at?
There you go.
Bearded lawnsman.
That's it.
So
That kind of grabs your eye. It's
You're a lot slimmer in this sticker.
Definitely. Well, I don't know what kind of mower I was using either.
This is fucking false advertising. Okay, cool. So look, really though, once you've got colours is pretty important,
Yeah.
and obviously a lot of greens are used. We
Yeah.
see some dudes running pink.
Yeah.
That I'm not really a pink guy.
Yeah, but
I'm not tripping on it though. But
is that Leaf that has that?
Leaf, yeah, I think there's
There's a few baby blue ones out there. There's,
I know Leaf.
Yeah.
Everything's pink.
That's
isn't
huge.
it?
Like it's a
And
huge trailer. It stands out. Like
You
dog
can't
food.
if you're driving that through a neighbourhood,
Yeah,
people
you
are gonna
can't
see
miss
it.
Can't miss that.
So that's I reckon is a really cool. But
Yeah.
more important than the colours, I think the structure.
Yeah.
There's nothing worse than seeing like a trailer or a flyer or something, and there's just info everywhere. It looks like they've just. To me, it looks like those real busy ones. It just looks like they've just thrown shit up against the wall to see what would stick.
Yeah.
Which is not always. It's good when it works out.
Yeah. Sometimes
It's just bad when it doesn't.
Yeah. It just looks like fucking drop spaghetti or some shit.
Yep. So what other points do we have, man?
So when you finish choosing your logo, obviously get that sorted out. You can look into things like your advertising. If you're starting from scratch, a lot of people would diss it, but I really think the local groups on Facebook and things like that, that's where I got a lot of my work from. If you have a missus or partner or whatever, get them to jump on like every group that they can, and they can set up notifications and things like that, so you guys are sniping these jobs. Some people are going to say, oh, you only get the crappy jobs. I literally just got a quote for a 20-hour-a-week brand new village down locally. So, random things pop up all the time, and you can sift through the shit ones. But I think Facebook groups are actually a good place to start, especially if you've got nothing.
Yeah, I mean, I know when I talked about failing, at least 3 times.
Yeah.
I know for me, I mean, look, you can buy franchise, you can go down the franchise road.
Yep.
And what that's going to get you is that's going to get you straight. That's going to get you from nothing to something immediately. You're going to have a job. You're going to get trained.
Yeah.
There will be an investment.
Yeah, of course. And that wipes off the first half of the list.
Yeah.
You've got everything.
Well, that's true too. So half of that process is really done for you.
Yeah.
And the next part of it is what we'll end up getting to later. You can also buy an existing business that's not a franchise.
Yeah.
Now, I did this, and it was the best thing for me.
Yeah.
Or you can build it organically, go out there and hustle. Now, the first time that I did this, it was great, but ultimately, there was just. I mean, for me, it was a mix between being young and having to build it.
Yeah.
And being young was just way cooler than building a business. So
I think we used to hang out and drink most evenings.
Yeah, I mean, it was just.
I was working a job. I was working in a factory. You were doing your lawn thing.
Yeah, it was just too easy to I wasn't thinking, family and.
We had fun though.
Oh man, it was so much fun.
It was so much fun.
Still having fun.
Yeah.
So, these are some of the things to build it. You could go that franchise road. If you were going to build it from scratch and literally go out, really, what would you say the best advice would be? Like, literally, you got to go out there and do your letterbox drops.
Yeah, I'd say.
Hit the real estates.
But yeah, if you see something, then go for it. There's no point in wondering. Like if you walk past a real estate and go, maybe I should drop some cards into them. Don't maybe it, just go in there, drop some cards. You never know. They could be needing someone to do that spur of the moment cleanup, and you could build a really solid relationship with that real estate. And it's all about doing it now instead of doing it later. I've found that as I've progressed in business, it's better. Like, for example, the other day I went to do a regular, just a little residential, and they told me that all of the houses around had been bought up. I saw a little project manager's sign, and straight away I thought, well, there's 7 empty houses here and a big vacant block. I'll call them and see if anyone's doing the maintenance. So, yeah, they gave me an email. I sent them a quote, and we'll see what happens from that. But
yeah. I mean, you got to go after
it. You got to chase it. The work is not going to come to you. Like,
I mean, it does sometimes.
Family and friends, probably. Yeah.
It does sometimes.
Benny's helped me out with a few good ones in the past.
I don't even mean that. I mean, like, every now and again you get a gem where someone just calls you out the blue. Yeah. But a lot of the times,
well, you have to have your name out there. You have to have that advertising.
You still have to chase it. So, something that I think is pretty is something to definitely consider. Even if you've been in business for a year or two, if you're really happy with what you're doing, that's great. If you're looking at like, okay, what's the next step for me? What is it that I really want to do? I think specializing in something.
Yeah.
Now, Luke Smith talked about this. I can't remember if it was on his podcast or if it was just on one of his videos. But
no, it was on Gary's podcast.
It was on the podcast? Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah. It was really smart in the sense that if you specialize, and when you say specialize, it's like specialize, right? So you could have a flyer or a trailer or an ad, whatever. You're listing, okay, I do lawn mowing, I do edging, I do garden cleanups, I do this, but we specialize in hedge trimming, or we specialize in irrigation,
large properties, and
specialize in ride-on mowing. I think if you're specializing in something, if you're specializing in ride-on mowing, and someone is looking, they want to get their acreage property mowed, right?
Yeah.
And they're looking at all these bloody ads, and there's 20 to choose from.
Yeah.
They can choose whichever one they want, and 9 times out of 10, they're going to choose the coolest name, the coolest colors on the ad, or if you've got something specializing in ride-on mowing, they're going to immediately, boom, let's go to them. Yeah. So I think finding out what it is that you're good at, what it is you enjoy doing, and target that.
So that's where I've kind of come full circle, and now I specialize in large body corporate maintenance. So
I mean, we advertised that we specialized in retirement villages before I'd ever even got a contract.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that. Hey,
fake it till you make it.
That's what this whole podcast is about, isn't it? I only listened to my first podcast 3 months ago, and now I'm doing one.
Yeah. So, I listened to podcasts for a while, but lawn care podcasts were never on the agenda. I was all about the funny stuff, but so then you got to get your equipment sorted. I'm guessing you got maybe vehicle equipment, probably vehicle. If you've already got a ute or something, you're pretty set up, but. Yeah.
Well, I mean, everyone out there should, probably understand as well that, like, if you're doing a startup and you don't have the coin behind you, and we're saying like, oh, okay, get this and get a truck and then get all of this, and it's like, well, Ben and BJ, it's easy for you to say.
Yeah.
None of this stuff. We're just talking about like these are the things to consider. So,
and they're the things that'll make your business easier.
Yeah, so there's guys out there that, they might have worked a government job for 20 years and they get a redundancy or something.
Yeah.
And they want to, they've got, let's say, 20 or 50 grand. Hey, I'm going to go start a business.
Yeah.
Then you're looking and, you could buy a franchise, you could do this, you could do that. This is a way to be able to break down, okay, what are the most important things that I need? What are the most important things I need to look at?
Yeah.
If you're a guy who is like, I hate my job, I got fuck all savings, and I'm going to start a lawn mowing business, really, man, you just do what you got to do to get through, and you'll get there in the end. When I started one of my businesses, I had a Pajero 4-wheel drive.
Is that the red one?
That was the red one,
Yeah.
the maroon one. I used to bung a push mower in the back. I did eventually get a trailer, but I remember I did a whole like mulch job. Like, I don't know how many cubes of mulch with a wheelie bin because I didn't have enough money for a wheelbarrow.
Yeah.
I actually one time sprayed. I did a spraying job and just sprayed them with water. Now, before everyone calls me a dog, I got the money from the job and I actually went and bought some Roundup and went back and sprayed them properly.
Yeah.
But you know, you do what you got to do to get through.
That's another good point. You have to do what if you want to make the business work. You have to do what you have to do. You got to do those shit jobs. Like I was still doing dog shit jobs like a couple of years ago. Like I didn't have the pick and choose ability yet. Like now I can kind of I'm more along in my business. I can kind of pick and choose, and
I mean, look, it's great when you get to that.
Yeah, I'm very lucky.
I mean, obviously we don't mess with Greenscape Solutions too much now because we've got a pretty good base. But you know, I get calls and like if push mowing is involved, it's like, oh nah, you just have to call someone. You have to call someone else. Yeah, but look, let's say what if we're talking about someone who wants to specialise in residential, what equipment is it that they're looking at?
So just your basics would be your slipper, your blower, and your mower. If you just are targeting mowing, another good thing to have is a spray pack. Whether it's a big one or a little one, just something, because most jobs, there's going to be weeds in the path and things like that. You just want to touch up, and that's a good little add-on. It's cheap investment. A little sprayer, like even a 2 litre sprayer, you can throw some glyphosate across and charge for it. So, that would be the starter, I think. Like maybe some bags. You got some green bags.
Well, see, this is the interesting thing. So this is one thing that I've learned from being in the Facebook groups is that in Brisbane, well, I don't know if it's a Brisbane thing or if it's just a me thing, but I've never used a push mower and not used a catch up on a regular job.
Me either.
And you got these dudes that are like, I don't know, they're mowing like 50 lawns a week and they're mulching it and blows my mind.
Yeah.
Now, if you could, I'm not against this.
No.
Okay, so if you can do it, go do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, for me, it was like, even now, I could not get away with it.
No.
Not any of the clientele that we have.
No, I do it on a few jobs now.
Push mower? Just mulch it or something?
Probably not push mower. But
Yeah, Ride-On's different.
Ride-On's different.
Ride-On's different. Oh, we got jobs that you see posts on Facebook and they're like, oh, look at this cheap bastard who's just come in here and done this, rah, rah, rah. I still do jobs like that.
Yeah.
Someone's like, oh, really, and look, it's not like it's that often anymore, but someone's got like crazy, grass up to here and you're like, okay, here's a price to do this.
Yeah.
Or here's a price to do this, and if they choose the cheap one, man, I don't care. Just
that's
give
it.
me what.
Yeah, like we just did a big clean up out of Beenleigh, and some of the grass was like 9 foot high, and that was sweet.
And it's not like you're going to finish that job after 9 foot high grass with this beautifully caught lawn.
There was like mice just jumping out of everywhere, birds swooping.
Crack pipes.
There was footprint when we got there. It was abandoned place, so there was footprints out of there. So junkies got up early that morning.
All right, and look, we're probably going to do a whole episode on this eventually, but just for anyone new getting into it, you've got to consider a battery blower at least.
Yeah, that's a big thing is battery versus petrol, and
like we'll get to that.
Yeah,
that's for a whole episode. And I'm not suggesting that someone would get a full battery setup to, like I said, we'll touch on that. But I think at a battery blower.
Yeah. I kind of get, if you were willing to invest a little bit of money in a couple of batteries, yes. But when you're first starting out, if most of your equipment is petrol, it's way cheaper to get a petrol blower and just use the same fuel that you're using.
Yeah.
than it is to get
No, look, that's a good point.
2 batteries, a charger.
I just know that.
Oh man, it's a game changer. Having a
Like
battery
even
blower.
now, even if I ran everything petrol, I would still run a battery blower.
Yeah.
I'm just not pulling cords for that shit anymore.
But I pull my backpack blower off as well, so I haven't got a battery backpack blower. But the little one is so good.
So good. The little Bush Ranger a plug. Bush Ranger battery blower, guys, get amongst it.
Yeah, cheap and it's really good. Like for the price, it is.
I love it. That turbo is just like.
Yeah. We use it at our village. We do all the doorways after we snipped, and people appreciate it. So it's nice and quiet.
I'm 100%. Like I ditched all my petrol blowers.
Yeah.
No time for them.
Yes. Well, where do you go? I reckon. Oh, maybe we'll go to trailer. I think trailer would be the next step. If you've got a ute, and eventually you'll get those jobs where you might need a trailer.
So probably something that I would look at is the actual trailer setup.
Yeah.
Because trailer setups have evolved.
Yeah. Well.
So they used to be your standard, like you got a mowing box, you got your drawers, whatever.
Yeah.
These days ride-ons are so popular that. Really, I mean, you and I have these setups. Yeah. Other people have these other setups, but it's amazing to be able to have a ride-on and a push mower.
Yeah.
On the drawbar.
So good.
So you have all your green waste. You can do a whole week's worth of work.
Exactly.
And you're not driving home to ditch those machines. You're not driving around. In fact, I took a phone call last night. A guy called Mick. And he was telling me the way that he said he's very structured and very organised, but he couldn't take his ride-on out and fill up his trailer with green waste. So he had to itemise which runs he was heading out in. This day I need the ride-on, that day I need this job needs a ride-on. And so he would either bundle those jobs or he would just man up and take it. So it's something definitely to consider.
I remember back when I had that I just had like the standard 8x5 with a little push mower, and I had a ride-on. At the end of the day, my ride-on wouldn't be visible.
Yeah, so it's something that's
covered in bags.
Yeah, it's something that I don't think I've ever actually done it. I've always had my style of setup.
Yeah.
Since I've had ride-ons, and I know that. Like if you're going to run a ride-on or any piece of equipment, you just want to be able to get to it quickly, and you want to be able to transport it safely.
Yeah.
And you don't want to get to a job and be like, "Fuck, I'm going to move 4 bags of grass and
there's
the exhaust burn soils in the grass
that was
and
huge.
The bags."
That was one of the main reasons why I sort of invested in a good trailer, because it was just taking up too much time, dragging bags off. I remember once I put a branch through the seat cover, and I was like, fuck. But what do? You got to do what you got to do.
I mean, look, that's true as well. You got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
So when we're going back to the networking, let's say you've got your rig set up, you've got your business name, you're ready to roll. You've got a couple of jobs, maybe it's through family members or whoever it is that you've been speaking to. One thing that I did when I, almost 20 years ago now, we went through like a terrible drought in Brisbane, really horrible drought, and people just weren't getting their lawns mowed because there was nothing.
Yeah.
And when we started coming out of that drought, there was work available. But one thing that I did, and you meet other contractors at the tip, you see other guys around, but I used to just go, back then in the local paper.
I thought you were going to say in the old days.
Not in the old. Well, it was the old days.
It was the old days.
But I used to actually just have a look at all of the lawn mowing ads, and I would just call these contractors and say, "G'day, my name's Ben. I'm a mowing contractor," and they trip out a little bit. They're like, "Okay,
yeah."
But you just say, "Hey, look, I've got a business. I don't have a ton of work. My diary's free. Anything that you don't want to do, would you be okay to pass my number on?"
Yeah.
And if someone's an asshole and they say no, well, whatever, whatever. But, 90% of people are nice enough, or at least nice enough to say, yeah, sure, kid, or sure, mate, whatever.
Yeah.
So that was something that I did that really helped me because, for me, in my actual personal experience, say Shorey, for example, he was a landscaper and he would do these huge landscaping jobs, and there was, if the client needed maintenance afterwards, he couldn't fulfill that role. And he's like, hey, we just did this mad landscaping job, Benny. Can you go in there and quote, keep all the gardens alive, mow this bit of grass, do this, remulch every, and it was awesome.
Symbiotic.
And some of my best contracts have come from that one particular lead.
Yeah.
So that's definitely something to consider.
That's cool. Something that's come about in the last couple of years for me, I don't know about everyone else, but it's kind of new to me, is the Facebook groups like LMCA.
We didn't have them in the old days.
No, we definitely didn't. It's been a great place to, air grievances and, ask questions and show off a little bit of skin. But
I definitely think, and there's controversy surrounding these groups now. Shout out to everyone at LNCA, by the way, and Aussie contractors. That we love the place. It gets a bad rap sometimes from guys being assholes and people saying this and people saying that. But realistically, when someone comes on there and they're a new member, and they say, "G'day, I'm just starting my business. What are some tips and tricks?" Most people on there are super nice.
Yeah.
And you would hardly ever see a comment saying like, fucking good on you, hey. You don't see that. So very valid point. I think jumping on these Facebook, community groups, LMCA is obviously a national page, but there is localized pages as well.
If you want to, even Aussie the Lawn Fanatics page, even if you want to learn some stuff.
I mean, you'll learn, the Fanatics is great for learning about how to take care of a property rather than how to build a business.
Yeah, there's lots of talk on chemicals and, your different weed species and things like that. If you're going to jump into the industry, you may as well flood yourself with knowledge because it's not a heavy burden to carry.
Just text Lenny Lawler personally.
Yeah, that's right.
He's going to kill us for that. Okay, so one thing I want to bring up that I think is something that's pretty valuable is that if you're looking to start up and you already have a job, now this is not going to apply to everyone, but if you already have a job and you have annual leave or long service leave built up, I know a guy who did this, my cousin did this, he was in a job, he had, his long service leave, which is probably 8 weeks or something, he had some annual leave. So he was able to capitalize on that, get some income for say the better part of 3 months.
Yeah.
And he was able to start building his business while actually he was getting his regular income.
Yeah.
So, because you just meet someone the other day who went out hard.
I was at the dump. This bloke, he was in the wine industry. He seemed to like his job, but he wanted to change. He jumped into a franchise, invested all this money, and he hated it. And he was at the dump. And I said, "How you going, mate?" He goes, "I fucking hate this job." And I was like, "Oh!" I was like, "Having a good run then." And he just told me his story and didn't seem like he was having a great time. And I don't know if he's throwing the towel in. I haven't seen him since. So.
And it's not a franchise thing. It's not a result of him getting a franchise.
Of course not. No, it's just that when you jump into a franchise, there's obviously these big fees that you have to pay.
There's a commitment.
And it comes with all those goodies.
There's a commitment.
Yeah, it's a commitment. When you start off your own business and you're not a franchise, then you've got much smaller overheads. So if you do decide that you don't like the industry, then you can fold and you're out. You're out a couple of thousand, but you're not out tens of thousands.
And at least you gave it a crack.
But I think starting off with someone, I think when I first started, I actually came on.
Yeah, you worked with me for
2 days a week.
Was it 2?
Yeah, I think it was 2 days a week.
Okay, yeah. And obviously you're going to expect to give up some income. You're not going to earn the same amount working for another contractor that you would earn if you were out on your own.
Yeah.
But essentially, it gives you a taste of what you're in for.
Exactly.
I did the same thing too. I had a business. It wasn't really going that well. I still had some jobs that I didn't want to let go of, but it wasn't enough to sustain me.
Yeah.
So I went and worked with another contractor for 2 or 3 days.
Yeah.
And it was great. I mean, when I eventually left, like some people don't want to invest in you. It's like if you're a contractor and you say, hey, can I jump on board for a couple of days? What do you got? Most people that are hiring are probably looking for more of the long term.
Yeah.
If they know that you're going to be out in a year, maybe less, they'd be like, no, maybe not.
Yeah.
But if you hit them in that busy period, and it's like, I'm sure if someone came up to you right now, and said, "Hey, Beach, can I jump on board?" You'd take them right now.
Yeah, that's where I'm at in my business. I've come into it's gotten a little bit warmer, and things have really gone my way in the last sort of month. And I'm like, shit, I need someone. And
it hasn't even rained yet.
Yeah, it hasn't even rained yet. So I'm like doing a little panic dance.
Yeah.
Messaging everyone I can think of. And I'm looking to put someone on. And full time too, straight away. So.
Yeah. So even anyone out there that, is currently, let's say you've got a business, you think you can do more, but you feel like you've hit a ceiling, of what it is that you can go out and actively pursue.
Yeah.
You can always pursue another contractor, or another business, and you can jump on board for a day or two, and you can get a little bit of income to support you, and you can still be in the industry, and you can still run. I mean, even DJ, shout out to DJ, by the way, he works for me at our village. He was in a similar situation where he was great at doing the work, but he wasn't as good at running a business.
Yeah.
And he works now for me full time, and he has, he knocks off with me at 3:00, and sometimes he earns $100, $150 after work.
Yeah.
And it's easy. He can text 2 or 3 clients, hey, I'll be here then, do the job, get paid, and all of a sudden he's making like way more than what he ever did.
Yeah. No, it's a good way to work.
With only 50% of the responsibility.
Yeah, the only thing is veto those not so, reputable people. If you're going to work with someone good. You don't want to work with someone who is not going to be beneficial for you in the long run.
Working with a cowboy is never going to be.
Yeah.
It'd be easy.
Yeah, like one of the guys that I've got with me now, he wasn't with a cowboy, but he just wasn't treated like a proper employee. So now he's with me, and I give him plenty of love, and he's a lot happier.
How does he like being cuddled at work?
He loves it. Shout out to Will.
Guess a cuddle, Will.
Yeah,
we'll see you in the 40 acres. Okay, cool. So when we're talking about dipping your toes in, that's definitely something that is great in the sense that you can try it out. If it works, then you can just keep building from there. But in that sense, you can still go and buy a franchise. After that.
I got turned off the idea. When I first started, I bought customers, but I only bought 8 customers, and by the 3rd week, I had 2 left. Because as soon as I messaged them and called them and said, "Hey, I'm your new guy," I was vetoed.
So when I did it, I was really conscious of this.
Yeah.
And I got a bargain. It was only about 20 clients mixed up of high-end residential, commercial factories, no villages, but a couple of stratas. And we were really clever in the way that we did it, that the business owner that was looking after the clientele said he was going away for 3 months. He was going to bloody Greece or something. I think he did go away.
Yeah.
and that I would be taking over and I would be handling the books. So I would invoice the client.
Yeah.
And what we decided is, after that 3-month period, we actually had a contract. He wasn't allowed to service any of that clientele for 5 years.
Okay.
Unless we spoke about it.
Yeah.
So what that meant was when he was back from Greece, even though he actually did go, but he didn't go for that long. If a client approached him, he legally couldn't take that job back on. And luckily for me, the way that we structured everything, I met with all the people. I understood the scope of works of every single client, and I was able to just fulfill that probably better than what it was being fulfilled, because this person wasn't, maintenance wasn't his love.
Yeah.
Whereas maintenance was my love.
Yeah.
So I was able to go in there and make a really good impression. And look, I think that was like 12 or 13 years ago, and I've still got some of the jobs now.
Nice.
So it worked out really well for me.
Mine did not work out that well at all.
Yeah.
I had straight away, I went out with the bloke that I bought it from. We did the run, and I should have known. We drove past 4 out of the 8 jobs, and he's like, "Oh, that doesn't need doing." And I, being naive, I was just like, "Oh, it doesn't need doing, but it's a body corp. Shouldn't we still go in there?" But it didn't work out real well.
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing, when we quote jobs, especially if it's body corp, if it's residential, you really, if it doesn't need doing, you just can't do it.
Yeah, I can't. I know there's probably people out there that
you can be creative.
Yeah.
And be like, hey, can we do this or can we do that?
Yeah.
But you've got to communicate.
Communication is another thing that should go on this list of things, is communicate with everyone.
Yeah, I mean, I'm an over communicator, but I just don't feel comfortable. I don't think I've ever gone to a job and agreed to do something and then just started doing it. Like, say they're at work.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, I'll charge you $60 to mow your lawn. Yes, okay, cool. I'll be at work. Come and do it. I've never gone to that job with them thinking that they're going to be at $60 and then just started pruning everything and doing all these other things and then slapping them with a bill for $300.
Yeah.
I've never done that once in my life. So definitely communicating with your clients. So what about with all your scheduling, the way that you structure your whole business?
Yeah.
I know for me, a lot of the reasons why I failed, obviously I was younger.
Yeah.
And, business was not the most important thing to me. But you've got to be structured.
Yeah.
And you've got to be disciplined. For me, say the last 10 years since I have been structured, it's not like you wake up at 8 or 9 o'clock and be like, oh yeah, I'll get started soon.
Yeah.
For me, it was like you're up at 5:30 every day. You're on the first job at 7.
Yeah.
And for me, and I'm not saying that this is how everyone has to do it, because everyone's situations are different.
Some people get into this business for the flexibility.
Absolutely, which is cool. We love that too. But in my situation, what it was if you have work from 7 till 3, which is typically what we did. I was always home by 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Depending on how the day went. But if you're at your first job at 7. And you think you're going to get home roughly at 3, and your mower fucking blows a piston or something crazy happens at 11, what it does mean, let's say something not as dramatic as that, I don't know, something.
You break a belt.
Something like that, yeah. You can still recover that time and be finished by, let's say, nightfall.
Yeah.
So then you can start the next day fresh.
Yeah.
Okay, so really, when you are running the business, if you want to be successful, it's something that is a really good tip. Something that I learned the hard way is you've got to be structured. You've got to be organized. If you tell a client you're going to be somewhere or you're going to be there on that day, they make plans. They go out of their way most of the time.
Yeah.
to be like, okay, my mower man's coming. I'm not going to hang my washing out this day, or
pick up the dog shit.
All of those types of things. So it comes back to the communicating side. If you do a no-show and you don't, text or communicate, whether it's calling, whatever, email, if you don't say, oh look, hey, we ran into some trouble today, we weren't able to make it.
Yeah.
Really, what is it that you're saying to that client?
Yeah, exactly.
If you just no show, don't talk to them. Oh, sorry, whatever. To me, it's bad business.
Yeah, and you have to remember, you're not just burning that client. Every person that she or he speaks to for the next couple of weeks, if you've screwed them over on something important, like if they had a birthday party planned for the week and they've asked you to come in specially, and that'd be a real bad one, because that would just flow through their family. Their family would pass on that message that you were the lawn guy that ruined their day.
Yeah, and I definitely learnt the hard way, because being younger when I first started, I didn't really consider other people's feelings.
Yeah.
And if I was like, if there was something else better happening, I'd be like, whatever, I'll just ditch this.
Yeah.
And I definitely learnt the hard way. I lost a couple of cool clients. But now, hindsight's great. I look back and I put myself in those situations, and not only was I ruining my own business, but you're just straight up letting people down.
Yeah.
And which isn't cool.
And if you're in this for the right reasons, then these customers sort of, they kind of become not family, you see them as different from like a person you meet in the street. Like they pay your bills. These are the people that pay your bills, so they become like a little bit more special than the regular Joe.
And now let me tell you a story. This is absolutely no joke, right? Now we feel like we run a pretty good business. We communicate. We do pretty good work. But every now and again, you hit pockets and situations where you might not be up to scratch. So I'll tell you, at our village, for example, we run into periods, whether it's rain or whatever it is, whether, maybe DJ has the flu or is not feeling, super well, running for a week and, letting the ball drop a little, right? I know for a fact that because we've formed such good relationships with management, the committee, and the residents, we have no chance of losing that job for something silly as, like you've left some leaves over there, or you've let, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So being a good person and being, respectable, reasonably well dressed.
Yeah.
It's not a fucking fashion show.
No, we're always filthy anyway.
I've always had a uniform my whole life, even when I didn't have to.
Yeah.
I've just always felt more comfortable when I've got my work boots on and some sort of work attire.
Yeah. Well, you do the same thing now when you're not like you.
I know. I don't need to be.
Yeah,
I don't need to be having my jeans and boots on right now, but I do.
Yeah.
Same with the Catch Pro videos.
To be honest, when I get home, I mean, it's kind of different for you. You got Catch Pro. That's an after hours factor for you as well. But like, I'm not even wearing undies right now, so that's how I roll. After I get home, it's back into comfort mode.
Oh yeah, of course,
100%. Like we've got a uniform, like we've got shirts and everything.
But it's not like you would go to work in like a red lightning bolt t-shirt or something.
No.
You know what I mean? I don't know why I said.
I don't know why I fit in a flash.
I don't know why I said lightning bolt. That's Target brand now, right?
Yeah.
That's cool. Hey.
No, but I get it. Same with quoting. You rock up to a quote and you look like shit, then people are going to be like, oh. Yeah.
Are you talking about having a beard or?
No. People love the beard. The craziest thing is when I was quoting, when I was advertising and rocking up to quotes as the bearded lawnsman, one of the craziest things that people, you actually have a beard. It's like, well, yeah, I do. I've always had a beard though, so.
So, sidebar, do you ever feel like because you're tattooed, and because you have a beard, we can't see your whole face, man.
No.
We don't know what you're thinking all the time. But do you ever feel like you're being judged and that, just on first appearances, you ever thinking like, fuck, I might not get this?
I do think sometimes people will judge me until they get to talk to me.
And that's what we're saying. You've got to be a nice dude.
Yeah.
Look, I think nowadays it's, but like I'm fully tattooed.
Yeah.
And sometimes I do think to myself, when you rock up to a quote and you're sort of like, you're just about to meet, are they thinking like, who's this piece of shit?
Yeah. What about the text message that you got from, your wife got from a customer that I was doing?
Oh, God, BJ. I just wish I could pull this up right now. So, I get, we'll go back and tell it. So you were doing a job for my wife's friend?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's right. So this is a couple of years ago.
Yeah, it was. It was good 4 or 5 years ago.
So here's BJ, right? Literally working his ass off. On his hands and knees. What were you doing? Weeding?
I was getting rid of stone. I was getting rid of all these stones.
Doing all this stuff, right? So I get a text from my wife and she's like, just received this. What's doing? And the client is looking out her window and BJ's got his pants half down his ass. And can we just quickly show, are we allowed to do this?
I don't know.
Just quickly do it. So this is what the client sees, right? When they look out the window, they see a bloody knife and fork, right? And I don't know what this knife and fork is for. I'm assuming it's for someone to like eat you.
No. It was just something to do when I was 18. I'll never forget the day I looked out the window when my mate was tattooing me in his kitchen, and I could see the neighbours looking. He's got his gloves, and he's just looked like he was just digging around in there. Yeah.
Anyway, so we are sidebarring, but
we are. But
it's a good so realistically, going back, it's probably not. I mean, she had a great sense of humour.
Yeah,
that was funny.
Yeah.
That wasn't.
And she became a long-term client too. So
yeah, but on the flip side of it, let's say you've got a Nazi sign or something there. These are the things that you need to think about. You need to, think to yourself, okay, we're in a business environment here. One thing when I had 2 young fellas working, I'd bring them to all the jobs. They would just spit on the property in front of I'm trying to get paid for the job.
Yeah.
And I got this young dude here trying, like spitting.
That's not on.
And, I'm absolutely no saint and I'm capable of all these other things.
Yeah.
But, I would say to these guys, no spitting.
Yeah.
At all. Don't spit out of the rig when we're driving.
Could you imagine that
Don't
now?
rock. Huh?
Could you imagine that now?
It's, but it's, there's a time and a place.
Yeah.
All that stuff. So go behind a tree, whatever the case is.
Yeah.
But don't spit in front of the clients.
Yeah.
Don't swear. Don't do anything stupid. So I think these are super valuable points that either you and me have either gone directly through just making our own mistakes or we've employed people that have made those mistakes.
I've been lucky enough, most of the people that I've had work for me have been quite respectful and polite. They might not have done the right thing by me, but they've always been good with my customers. I can't recall a time where I've had to pull them up and say, well, you need to...
I've had some incredible shockers.
Phones is the only thing that I've really pulled people up for. Get off your phone.
Yeah,
it's so rude. Someone's talking not just to me. They'll be with me. I'm like, people are not just talking to me. You're part of the business too. Get off your phone and actually, talk to these people as well.
Yeah. I've had some absolute shockers, but I do know that when we talk to residents at the village, they always say to me, Ben, you and your workers are so nice. They make us, we make everyone feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Even if you're having a bad day, you still say good day.
Yeah.
All of those things. So all of that stuff, not only rocking up on time and, just being nice to your clients, all of that stuff, it just adds a little bit of, forgiveness.
Yeah.
For, if you stuff up or if you scalp someone's lawn or, if they already hate you, they're just going to be catch you later.
Yeah, straight away. Like I always grew up being told like common courtesy costs nothing. So that's the thing that sort of like will propel your business. People will feel more comfortable with you, and people will feel comfortable recommending you. If you roll up and you're
like if you're an asshole,
you're a dickhead, then people are going to be like, one shot deal.
I mean, the image is not always, like you said before.
Yeah.
You get hot, you get sweaty, you smell, talking sweat and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You're not gonna, you're not like a sales rep hopping out of an air conditioned car or something.
No, and look at me, I'll roll into a job. I'm big, I'm tattooed, I've got a nice big beard, shaved head.
But you find most people don't judge you?
No.
Yeah. No, I'm just
most people don't judge me straight away. But there has been times in the past. And people ask me sometimes, they're like, does that affect your business? Especially like...
Yeah, I'm straight up asking now. I wondered.
I haven't found it. Like, we're doing all right, so can't be affecting it too bad. I know there's a lot of guys out there that sort of look and smell and sort of bearded like me. So.
Yeah, man, you got to put deodorant on before work.
Yeah,
guys, you got to do it. It's just
that
was
just
one
common
of yours,
courtesy.
Huh?
That was one of your young fellas.
What the hell?
It's putrid. You're packed in like when you run in three guys. You're packed into this car.
Brush your teeth, dude.
Yeah,
far out. It was one of those things for me. Like, I'm just like, how can you actually leave your house like that?
And to know that they like had a girlfriend and shit was horrifying.
Man, I mean, I remember when I was young, but geez, it was never like that. All right, so what about some of the actual business side of things? We talked about communicating, getting on time.
Yeah.
What about all your paperwork and invoicing? Because, there's definitely, there's programs out there now. There's lots of different styles that people use. Everyone does it differently.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter which one you use, but you have to have some structure there.
Yeah.
You got to, all your scheduling has to be planned out.
Yeah.
And you have to keep track of payments.
Yeah, that's 100% right. I think an app, like just an invoicing app, some of them are quite inexpensive. When you're starting off, like, if you don't want to overcapitalize, go for one of the cheaper ones. All you want is to have a template for an invoice. And that's
Do you still use Invoice to go?
No, we actually changed to another company, Rounded. Yeah, Dorgay. No, we changed to Rounded. It's a rip-off of Invoice to go. That's like half the price, and it's actually a really good... It's great. We can... every month they do like an update. Now we can take photos of our receipts, and it does our tax for us.
But as long as you know your program, right?
Yeah. That's 100% right. You need to actually invest a little bit of time and find out what functions it does have. One of the coolest things, my wife actually, it might not be an original idea, but it was original to us. What she did when we first started to keep track, like a really cheap and easy way to keep track of receipts, was just create a new email and say, call it TBL receipts at Gmail or whatever. So she would take a photo, because my wife is the brains of the operation. I'm just the muscle.
We just do the work.
We just do the work. So she'd take a photo of a receipt and she would put fuel September. So when the BAS or when tax time came around, she'd just put in the subject to find fuel for September. Boom, there it all is, right in front of you.
Yeah. As long as you have some sort of structure.
Yeah,
right?
you just have to...
And I'm glad you brought up tax and GST.
Yeah.
So you've really got to be able to... You've got to be disciplined.
Yeah.
And you have to pay taxes.
Yep.
We're not telling you to declare all your cash. I'm just saying, do what you want in that respect.
Yeah, that's all on you.
One thing for me, I know, and this was right around the time that I was having my children and, starting my family, I wasn't up to speed with all my taxes, and it puts a burden on you. For me, I couldn't function properly. I couldn't sleep properly.
Yeah.
If you and I'm not saying that anyone out there that is dealing with tax issues is not successful. That's not what I'm saying.
Far from it.
But if you are able to be disciplined and be like, okay, this is what was charged out for GST, this goes here, this is what my tax is, this goes here, and you pay that, it gives you a really accurate, you know exactly where you are.
Yeah.
You don't get hit with a huge bill and be like, damn, now I've got to do that, right? Because I've been there, and I was lucky. I was able to sort that out, and it's always a little bit daunting every time a BAS comes around, but try and stay organised with all your taxes and BASs and stuff like that.
It's a big, like the GST component of the payment. You just shouldn't even think of it as your money. Think of yourself as like a collection agency for the government.
That's what you are. I mean, I love it now with Catch Pro because you buy so much stock.
Yeah.
The more that you are paying out, the better those the better you get back. But you still have to be super disciplined. A lot of businesses go down to this.
And it's a lot of money. It can be a lot of money. Like you don't really realise how much those $10 and $20 add up to a huge amount at the end of the quarter. It's
huge,
crazy.
Okay,
that's a big one actually. I hate it. That's what my wife does. I don't even look at it.
Well, I mean, me and my wife, we work as a team, so we.
I'm actually really lucky in that respect. That she has her. She is the brains of the operation.
I just have to be involved in everything.
Yeah, but that's you. I'm more like, well, I'll focus on keeping everyone happy over here, and you focus on keeping us out of debt. And she does that.
Don't get me wrong, I don't make the kids lunches or anything.
Yeah, neither do I. I'm long gone.
If I did, I'd probably just give them a couple bucks.
Just a packet of noodles.
Yeah, that's all we got. No.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So we're pretty much covered.
Yeah.
Pretty much all the bases.
So what do we have? Like your logo, your name, equipment. What do we go from there? Networking.
And also trying to specialise in something, like figuring out your target markets. Like if you're living in, I think we actually got a comment. I forgot about this. We got a comment on either one of the social medias or maybe it was LMCA, and they're like, can't wait to tune in. What do you guys recommend for me? I'm looking at acreage properties in rural Victoria or something.
Oh, yeah.
So say, for example, I'm sorry, I've forgotten your name. Garbutt.
Yeah, last name
Garbutt. Anyway, so if you are listening out there, pal, what I did and what BJ's done, I know he's done this, is, because we've got rural areas where we live and where we target, and unfortunately, like you can place, localized business ads.
Yeah.
Whether it's, even Gumtree is a great platform. Yeah. But man, I just loaded up the sack with the flyers, and you just hit all those properties, and I've been pretty successful. I don't know how many hundreds of flyers or whatever, but you dedicate a little bit of time, even if it's while you're working.
Yeah, and if you're aiming for acreage, you just jump on your ride-on. Just do a street on your ride-on.
Yeah, I haven't always done that. I have done it. People look at you a bit funny.
At least I know you got the tools for the job.
Yeah, that's right. But definitely, pal, letterbox dropping. One thing that you don't see super often is in those rural suburbs, just make up some signs and just nail them onto the poles in the surrounding areas. Yeah. Because people will drive past and be like, if it registers to them, if they're like, I've got a party on this weekend, and you never know what these things can lead to. You do that person's, you might get the neighbour, but you have to be equipped. If you're going to be looking at acreage properties, guys, you got to have a ride on.
Yeah.
You sort of got to know at least a little bit of what you're doing. Yeah. But definitely going out there and hustle and letterbox dropping putting in a local ad,
Yeah.
doing all of those things will definitely get you a foot in the door
I
somewhere.
think you could probably do some targeting marketing on Facebook as well. Like I think you can aim for those areas. I don't know how rural it is. Like our rural is like 25, 30 minutes out of Brisbane. So
yeah, I mean, look, for
realistically,
me, and Greenscape Solutions, I never did anything on Facebook.
yeah.
We were already pretty well established by the time that Facebook was,
I've done
thing to do.
I've done a fair bit. I've picked up a few acreage jobs from a few of those groups again, those community groups.
Yep.
And they've been in those acreage areas. We seem to have pockets of acreage around. So, yeah, those community groups, I found a little bit of success there. But like Benny said, a lot of success with letterbox drops, and that sign idea is really good. I think that's a really good idea. I haven't done it myself, but I think,
I'll tell you one story. When I was letterbox dropping in our area was whether it's business cards or flyers, just obviously put them in, walk the streets, and there was this one property, because I'd hit the same properties after, so and so often.
yeah.
There's this one amazing property over there at Chandler.
Oh, so many.
And I really, I always looked through the gates and was like, oh, I'd love to maintain this place. And so I'm like letterbox dropping, and I had some business cards, and I just dropped like 20 of them on the driveway. So they had absolutely they had no option but to acknowledge me. And I actually got a call. I didn't end up doing the job for completely different reasons, but it fully got me noticed.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying to necessarily do that. Don't go and litter. But I'm just saying.
Did they call you up? What the fuck do you think you're doing?
No, I just couldn't believe it. Like, got a call. It didn't register me straight away. Is it this property? But as I rolled up, I was like, oh my gosh, this is the property.
Yeah.
Anyway, it turns out they were complete jerks, and I never did the job for them.
Is it because you dropped 30 cards in their front
No. So the actual story was that met them. They were, everything was going okay. And at the time, my Hilux had a little oil leak.
No.
And did the quote, everything was agreed on, got back, had a text message saying, hey, you've leaked a little bit of oil on my drive. And it was a pretty amazing driveway, right? But you've leaked a little bit of oil on my driveway. If you want to charge top dollar, you need top dollar equipment. And my reply was, look, this is just what I said at the time. And I was like, honestly, I can tell if you're making a deal out of this, I don't even want it. I don't want to work for you. And I never did. And ultimately I probably lost out on a pretty big opportunity.
Yeah.
But the actual story, the point of the story was I got noticed by them, I targeted them, and I got the opportunity. So obviously I blew that opportunity.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit,
Your Hilux blew it. You didn't do it.
Yeah, well, I don't have that thing anymore.
Yeah, no worries anymore.
All right, well, I reckon we're just about done on this episode. Hopefully, guys, we've been able to share some of our tips that, got us to the dance.
Yeah.
Along with also, sharing what not to possibly do.
Yeah. We've made a few boo-boos along the way, but I think we both have ended up with quite successful. That's another thing to touch on maybe in another episode.
Well, let's just quickly touch on it for 5 minutes right now.
So
the I don't know.
the definition of success.
We're not twins or anything.
No.
But I was reading
Daddy?
Everyone's definition of success is completely different.
Yeah, I actually looked up the definition of success, but I don't even know if it's the right definition.
I've never done that. While you're on the phone, I'll just keep it rolling. That we all have different, overheads.
Yeah.
BJ, who has 2 machines and a huge trailer and a truck and all of these things, right? That's going to be different to someone who has a residential setup with 1 or 2 push mowers.
And the money thing for some people, it's not even an issue. Like you might just be doing this because you love it. You're not even in it for the money. It's just a case by case. So I had a quick squiz. I was like, Googled what is the definition of success in a business, and it says success is running a profitable firm that conducts business with honesty and integrity, makes meaningful contributions to communities it serves, and nurtures high quality, balanced lives for its employees. So that kind of sounds...
So it barely even touches on the financial aspect.
It
does say running at a profit.
It does, but it also is... Yeah, one of the things I got in this business for was I was at this job and I hated it, but I loved the people. I loved looking after these people. I used to have all these D&Ms, trying to help them with their problems. And I wanted that in a business that I've kind of got now. Like, you know, my young fella's 21, he still lives at home, so he doesn't have that many problems. But it's nice to be able to sort of help him find the next step in life. So, yeah, that's...
When you're talking about a young fella, you're talking about employee.
Yeah.
Just so everyone knows.
I'm not that old.
Just so everyone knows. So, you know, it's as long as everyone out there knows and can understand that the definition of success, it means different things to different people.
Yeah.
I do think, obviously, you need to be running a profitable business.
Yeah.
But the difference between, you know, running a profitable business and building an empire, there's a lot of real estate in between.
Huge.
So... All right, guys, let's put a bow on this. Thank you for listening. Thank you, BJ. And we'll catch you next week. Don't forget to check out Aussie Lawn Stars with Gary Ashton. Peace.
Peace out.